Radio Retrofuture.
Talking to you about that, but it's 8 o'clock, which means
it's
time for
All right.
Yes,
Let's
it's
do it.
time for a new episode of Radio Retrofuture. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Let me switch to the scene. Yes. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode number 50 of Radio Retrofuture. And today I'm here with Phoebe Darkqueling of today the Steampunk Journal. But are you still doing For Whom the Gear Turns?
I'm maintaining the site as long as I have it paid for, in order to continue, trying to get people over to the journal or to not lose the followers that I already have.
Right.
And as I transition. So periodically, but a lot of the content is actually migrating over to my new author website. So my photos about traveling around London and those kinds of things, they felt more personal. So I've moved them to my personal site versus the movie reviews and things that are going up on Steampunk Journal.
Okay, well, let's just continue with this conversation. Because I know many of the viewers probably already know who you are, but could you please tell us who you are and what you do in your daily existence besides steampunk?
Besides steampunk? I am a freelance writer and editor. I actually am the creative director of a really cool program. It's a creativity competition for middle school students that my mom started, and then I took it over. So that's what I do to actually make money. But I'm also writing a series of novellas right now that I hope to self-publish in July. And they will follow a reluctant medium around Gaslight America.
Okay, well, let's just continue talking about that for now. So could you tell us a little bit about these novels that you're writing and what they're called?
Sure. So the first book is going to be called No Rest for the Wicked. And my main character, the way I like to describe her, is if Jack Sparrow and Han Solo had a female love child in the 1870s, it would be Viola Thorne. So she is an anti-heroine, because I was really tired of not finding good anti-heroines in literature. And so she is an ex-con artist who also can speak to ghosts. And she tried to leave all of that behind, and her past literally comes back to haunt her at the beginning of No Rest for the Wicked. So the plan right now, it's going to be a 9-story arc that will take her across the US, down to New Orleans, and up to New York City eventually.
Okay, and you are a big Star Wars fan?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I think that's safe to say that is my other favorite fandom, besides steampunk, is Star Wars.
Okay, because, I have this theory that I like to describe steampunk as pop culture in the past. Would you agree? Would that be in your case the scenario? That you place modern pop icons into, historical scenarios?
I think that's certainly one avenue to achieve steampunk. But it's so big and diverse. I mean, I absolutely love that you can take the patina, the aesthetic of steampunk, and apply it to just about anything. And it just becomes that much cooler. So in that way, there's definitely, you can interplay with more modern pop icons and things like that. I mean, Star Wars, right? That's a hugely steampunked thing. I think R2-D2 steampunk is pretty much the cutest thing ever. But it's interesting because you do see a lot of famous figures in steampunk. So in that way, you could say, like these celebrities that we know from history, or they were celebrities in their own day, they become fictional characters and get punked in that way.
Yeah, they're pop culture icons, or at least that's how I see them. The popular view of Teddy Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln and George Washington are very well known in steampunk by now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are some great women from the 19th century that get celebrated in steampunk.
Right, yeah.
Ada Lovelace, of course, but others as well. And I'm so rubbish at names, or I would name more of them.
Elizabeth Knight, I think her name was.
Well, and there's this fantastic Russian medium who is like the founder of the occult movement and things as well.
She was also
Very, very
a great
powerful.
Hitler supporter. Oh God, what was her name? Madame. And she was.
I can't remember her name, but yeah.
I know she's very controversial because she was also a great Hitler supporter. So.
Right. We can't all be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
No, but certainly interesting people from history are getting new life breathed into them because of people writing alternative histories, or just sort of looking at the era for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you're also working on a number of projects. Let's start with your New Orleans project and the Edwardian Ball. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Edwardian Ball is an event. It's a charity event that they've been putting on in Los Angeles and San Francisco by the Edward Gorey Trust. So Edward Gorey was a famous illustrator and satirist and things during the steam era. And he was also a great lover of animals. And so the Edward Gorey Trust, all of their works have to do with enabling people, either through education or through providing funds, to prevent animal cruelty and promote adoption and things like that. So their big, beautiful charity event every year is the Edwardian Ball. And so it's pretty much a steampunk's playground, based on the footage and things that I've seen. I haven't been able to go before, even though I did live in California, but it was in Southern California, so I didn't make it. But so I have the opportunity this year, for the very first time, they are going to be doing an extra Edwardian Ball event in New Orleans, which happens to be south of me, about 1,000 miles. So the hope is to be able to raise a little bit of money to help me just pay for my transportation. I've got 3 people to stay with while I'm there. It's just to get me down there. And then the hope is to live stream from the event, to be able to send people postcards and things from the vendor hall, so you get your New Orleans postmark, and also to provide exclusive prints, because it's going to be gorgeous. There's no other way to say it. It's going to be beautiful and dynamic, and I've been doing this sort of thing for a while, where I've done projects to fund me to go to a place so I can write reports to bring them back, because not just travel, but steampunk in general, for a lot of people, is prohibitively expensive. And so I'm trying to democratize the convention experience by bringing as much of the experience back to other people as I can. But I have limited funds to do it. And so the hope is to pool resources so more people get to experience, all over the world. I also picked it because it was the absinthe capital of America during the 1870s. And so there is a particular absinthe bar that is still standing that I would love to visit and use it as a setting.
I'm actually thinking that my character Dan Lexicon is going to have the AFA, like Absinthe Fiends Anonymous, where he can shield more absinthe because they're anonymous absinthe fiends.
Right. I like it.
Yes, I thought so. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing something with that idea. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Of course, the link to this crowdfunder will be down in the description for those who want to support Phoebe. So check that out when I publish the edited version. And then, of course, you used to have your own blog. Now you're working for the Steampunk Journal. How did that happen?
So I actually wrote an article back in 2016 sometime that was called "Has Steampunk Steam Peaked?" Because I was noticing a huge dip in my website statistics, and it made me a little bit nervous. I'm like, so what am I seeing here? So I wanted to do some research, and what I found though was that despite the web not supporting steampunk, or at least my own website, as much at that time, can all across the board, conventions were attendance was up. There were more different events occurring. So I concluded, outside of the internet, obviously there's this huge audience for this. And so Matt and I have been in contact. We actually started our sites about the same time, which is funny. So within months of each other, we actually started our sites. And In 2013. I was around Halloween in 2013. I think he was July. And so he reached out to me a few months after the article, and he said, you know, that he had seen a little bit of a dip, but not what I was talking about. And as a fan of my content, he proposed that we join forces to create one super site, because he and I have very different focuses. So he doesn't do that many movie reviews or book reviews, whereas that's my jam. That's my favorite, is to really immerse myself in the media side of steampunk. And he does a lot of wonderful interviews with people over in the UK. And he reports on events that are happening there. So we're hoping that I can bring in my reporting on events here in the US to help round out the journal.
And that also connects into your next project, acronym NOISE. So yeah, let's just talk about that. What is it and how successful is it?
Well, so far it's technically not launched yet. I am still sort of reaching out to people and figuring things out. But so NOISE stands for the Network of Indie Steampunks. So NOISE without the E, actually. And my hope, what I am seeing as an independent steampunk creator, that there are a lot of us out there, and especially writers who are doing this because we love it. And maybe it's a hobby, but that doesn't mean that we don't want our books to get out in front of people. And, you know, I was saying before, it's prohibitively expensive. A lot of times steampunk is. And the same is true of writing events. And so to be able to sell books at an event, which is the best way to reach your audience, right? It's going to be in person. It's not worth it for a single author who's doing it as a hobby to say pay $200 to try to sell their books. So my goal is to get in contact with a bunch of different people. Mostly, I'm starting out focusing on writers, but any kind of maker could also get in on this distribution if they wanted to. And basically, work as the distributor at conventions to get these independent steampunk books into the hands of fans. And so, again, it's pooling resources to make the reach go farther. So I would also be investing in postcards and things, group advertisements that I could distribute in person on behalf of these creators. And then on the online side of things, I would love to get these people talking, beta reading each other's books, reviewing, supporting each other, tweeting about what we're doing, and just getting more engaged on the creative side of things. Not just the boring financial stuff, but also getting these creators talking to each other and benefiting from expertise and things like that. So, so NOISE is this organization that I am starting. So I'm recruiting authors right now, but also I'm looking for partner websites. So there's a blog tour side of this where I want to help people with their digital book launches. So we need people who are willing to host cover art reveals, giveaways, things like that. So I'd be coordinating that for people. And then I forgot what the other point was I was going to make. But yeah, it's kind of a big complicated beast. I've tried to make it as streamlined as possible on phoebedarkqueling.com. There are web pages available. You can't actually sign up to be a member yet, but there is an interest form if anybody out there would like to find out more, get on my mailing list, or if you are a business that would like to offer discounts to membership, to NOISE members. NOISE can act as a way to funnel business to steampunk businesses. So Steampunk Parliament, for instance, is one of my partners. Bess Godin does really cute hand-drawn icons and logos and book covers and things like that. So she's one of my partners who's offering a discount in hopes of connecting with more steampunk makers as a steampunk maker herself.
And how has the response been so far? Because you asked me, have you also asked other people to join in?
Yep. So far, I have 8 official partners for the blog tours, and then I have 3 other partners who are offering discounts. One of the partners is technically, it's me, it's my editing enterprise, because I'm also a freelance editor, but I'm offering these special discounts and also free beta reading on steampunk books. because I've done 50 book reviews now within steampunk and scientific romances. I feel pretty well equipped to help people out with steampunk specifically, and then editing in general, because it's part of my training. So discounts on cover art and on advertising, things that writers would need anyway. And just try to sort of negotiate these group discounts, basically.
Right. So you are an editor. What do you edit? Is it mostly commercial work, or do you also do a lot of steampunk or other fiction-related projects?
Well, I am about to start a historical Christian novel this week. I have a new client, so it's not steampunk, but it is historical. And so that's why she wanted to talk to me, because I know a lot about the steam era. So yeah, I prefer to read fantasy and science fiction, but I will edit whatever, because elements of a good story, it doesn't matter what genre it's in. A structural problem is a structural problem no matter what the genre. So I really enjoy the challenge. I really love, I can get lost for hours actually editing. I can get more lost editing than I can reading.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I rather edit myself as well. I just had never done it professionally. But the reason why I was asking is, have you noticed certain trends within steampunk literature these last couple of years that you say, oh, well, this is funny that this keeps coming back right now, and that element of the steampunk books is gone. Have you noticed such trends?
Well, I try to read really widely across the 30 years, that steampunk has existed. So I don't exclusively read what the newest things are, but I can definitely say that I have noticed both in the things that are being created and in the calls for steampunk submissions that there's a lot more call for diversity. So physically, mentally diverse people, different and then the multicultural side as well. So there's an opening, there's an encouragement for sure of steampunk to be more inclusive. And it's cool to see that from the people asking for submissions also. The authors are taking it on themselves, but there's also obviously a very strong outcry. I mean, there's a people want this. And so that's really cool to see, especially with an anthropology background. I love culture. I love punking culture. That's part of why I write. So it's definitely a widening.
Sorry, I got distracted by a message by Eric Fisk, who we just talked about. Eric, I'll get back to you about this. Don't worry. We'll meet soon, the three of us and maybe some other people. Don't worry about it. It will. Your time will come. Don't worry. More about that on another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I got distracted a little bit there. You already talked about more female characters. Could you tell me a little bit more about what you like to see, what you think is lacking, and could you name a character you think is like, oh yeah, I want to see more of that character?
The female anti-hero, right? That's the non-archetype archetype that I mentioned at first, and she could be anywhere. But one thing that I actually really like about steampunk, I feel like part of the punking that people do of the steam era is having these really empowered women. Steampunk is a great place to find female characters that don't do what they're told. And it's so fun to see that tension, though, because there's the society and there's how they rebel within their society or don't, how they work the system. So Vi, not to bring it all back to her, but that's why I like writing her, is that she's rough and tumble and out on horseback and, on the frontier, but when she needs to, she's like, well, but bustles look good on me, and I gotta manipulate this guy, and he's got expectations, so I'm gonna do it this way. And sort of recognizing her own position in society in a very conscious way, I think is cool to see. And so steampunk does that quite well.
excuse me. When I heard you talk about your character, I had to think of, do you happen to play video games or stay posted on that subject by any chance?
I enjoy video games quite a lot, but I've been aggressively broke for a long time, so I'm behind. I play mostly Lego Star Wars, honestly. Okay. That's my favorite.
No, because when you talked about your character, I had to think about, I forgot her name, but one of the main characters of Tales of the Borderlands, which has also a female con artist. Are you familiar with the Borderlands franchise?
I am familiar in as far as the name. I've heard the name before, but I haven't checked it out. So that's a good one for me to look at.
Yeah. The world of Borderlands is very well. It isn't steampunk. It's actually more kind of post-apocalyptic, kind of sci-fi, because it takes place on this world called Pandora, and it used to be a thriving colony, but then they screwed over the environment, and the entire world is now one big place filled with cannibals and other bandit-like folk. So they've got
like
this,
you do.
Yeah, so it kind of has this Western vibe, but it also has this really DIY Mad Max. And also there are a lot of steampunk-esque monsters and villains and stuff like that.
Cool.
And yeah, it was.
What platform is it on?
It's on PC, and I think it's also on consoles. But they have a kind of a spin-off series that's called Tales of the Borderlands, which is kind of an interactive story where you can make decisions. It's a linear story, but you can make decisions, and it has this really weird, geeky kind of humor in it. So,
cool.
Yeah, it also has like 2 female anti-heroes. Actually, it has a number of female anti-heroes in the game. So I think you'll enjoy it.
Great.
At least Jack, one of the big bad guys of the franchise, is one of my favorite characters, like in ever. So. But yeah, is there any subject you would like to talk about?
I am working right now. I am affiliated with the International Steampunk Symposium, excuse me. Right. That's run by the Pandora Society. So I've actually been a staff writer for them about as long as I've been writing For Whom the Year Turns. And so I will, for the first time, I'm going to be a speaker at the convention. So I am putting together an exhibit, that museum-style exhibit, because my master's degree is actually museum studies. So a museum exhibit for the symposium, and then there'll be a lecture that goes along with that, and a couple other lectures that I'm giving. So yeah, I'm really excited about my first speaking, like my live speaking opportunities coming up. That'll be in April, and then also in July I'm going to do an interactive reading from No Rest for the Wicked at Motor City SteamCon. So I've got a friend who's going to do the male voices, but I'm also planning to grab audience members and have them help me out with sound effects and anything else like that.
But let's keep it at that before we go into another tirade of some sort. Yes, people, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Phoebe, thank you for being here. And
thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It's been fantastic.
You're welcome. And of course, you know, if people have ideas for anniversary, we're gonna do a stream with Phoebe and Eric, hopefully pretty soon. And yeah, if you really want to give me a birthday present, I have a Patreon where you can support me. And also there you will get extra content, previews, behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, if you enjoy that kind of thing, please consider supporting me on Patreon, because like Phoebe, I also have to pay all this for myself. So all the support is welcome. And with that being said, people, thank you for joining the 50th episode of Radio Retrofuture. And as always, make it your way. I have to remember that my microphone and camera are not the same. I'm gonna end the stream now.
5, 6, 7, 8. Hit it!